Okay, we're going to talk about 30, 60, 90 triangles. And it's best to think of it as half of an equilateral triangle. So if I have an equilateral triangle, that means all the sides, all three sides are the same length. And all of these angles are 60, 60, 60. Now, if I've got an equilateral triangle and I cut it in half, then this angle here is going to be half of 60. So now I've got a 60-degree angle, a 30-degree angle, and a 90-degree angle. 30, 60, 90. Okay, since this side is half of the length that's 2, it should make sense that this would have a length 1 if this side is a length 2. Right? Because this yellow side right here is half of the whole line, and the whole line is 2. Okay, hit pause and think about that for a second. Now our question is, how do we figure out this length? Okay, so we need to use Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the legs squared is equal to added together is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So we're going to say 1 squared plus y squared is equal to 2 squared. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, so I end up with 1 plus y squared is equal to 4. Then I can subtract 1 on both sides. I get y squared equals 3, and then take the square root to solve for y, and then we get y equals the square root of 3. And so this is the relationship which we're going to be using, which is this side is length 1, this side is length 2, and this side is the square root of 3. So using that relationship, these triangles are all similar. So whatever this length right here is going to be, whatever that length is, the hypotenuse is always going to be double that. And this length is always going to be the length of the yellow side times square root 3. So let's look at this information that's given. If I know this is 3, then that means this red side is going to be double the length, so it's going to be 6. And then this side is going to be this value times square root 3. So this is going to be 3 square root 3. Let's do another example. Now, the hypotenuse is supposed to be twice the length of this side right here. So since it's twice the length, I need to figure out the length of the yellow side. I have to divide that by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, and then this length here is simply this value times square root of 3. So we end up with 4 square root 3. Okay, similar process. This might be a little bit tricky, so think about it for a second. This is usually, this is the smallest side, it's worth 1, and the hypotenuse is double that length, right? So if I double this length, I'm just going to write this as 2 square root 3. Okay, now this side here is the one you need to think about for a second. Because we've always said this side here is the length of the yellow one times square root 3, right? This length times square root 3 gives me this, but this is square root 3. So I'm going to have this length, so square root 3 times square root 3. Well, square root 3 times square root 3 is square root of 9, which is 3. So the length of this side here is 3. You may want to hit pause and rewind and watch this one again. Okay, this one here is also a little bit tricky. We know that this length is 10 square root 3. So the yellow side, which I'm about to draw, is half the length of the pink side. So if I divide that by 2, we're going to end up with 5 square root 3. And then this side here is the tricky one. So in order to figure this one out, it's the yellow one times square root 3. So I'm going to write this here as 5 square root 3 times square root 3. And we've got square root 3 times square root 3 is square root 9. And the square root of 9 is 3, so we have 5 times 3, which is equal to 15. So this side here is equal to 15. Rewatch this if you need a little bit of help. I hope this helps.